Here we are. Welcome to Built by People, a DFL podcast. We're here at the ILP Lighting Summit and we're pleased to share with you some of the snippets and highlights of the interviews we did with guests over the 2 days.
I feel like I've ambushed you a little bit, Connor. You're straight off stage.
I am.
Straight off that. So the artist and the apprentice, you just presented upstairs. What are the key takeaways?
Yeah, so within the presentation, we kind of focused on two main areas, the apprentice and the artist.
Yeah.
The artist focused on how can we utilise generative AI, a type of AI, to create quick concepts for our design and the implications of that, whether we should or should not be doing that, and how a client or a designer might feel if it's being used as a concept design. We then moved on into the apprentice, which focused on three main areas. The first was a simple use of AI, which looked at how custom GPTs can be utilised to improve your email writing by removing negative emotion and improving structure. We then went into the advanced use of AI, which was actually how AI can be used as a knowledge partner, almost like your own personal on-hand senior engineer when you're doing the role, and how that could affect designers or new juniors, or also sales team who may want to utilise that. And then the final element was the use of the future of AI, which was about agentic AI, and how I believe it's definitely something that can be utilised in the future. It's not quite there yet, and it kind of focuses on kind of the AI taking over the situation,
Right.
and less human input. And I think above all else, I kind of caveated quite clearly that although AI is utilised or could be utilised as an apprentice to our juniors, the juniors are not being replaced by the AI. And that's a key part, like learning, making mistakes is a key part.
I guess you've still got to have that knowledge yourself to be able to analyse and cross-check what the AI is coming up with and spot where it may get things slightly confused or that kind of thing.
Exactly that. So AI can't really be seen, especially in the knowledge section I was talking about. It shouldn't be making a final decision, and it shouldn't be making all of the judgment calls. What it can do is support possibly a new starter to develop their knowledge. But it really is up to the junior to be developing their knowledge to get to a point where they can become the senior. We need to not have an over-reliance on AI.
Yeah, sure. And one final question. In your sort of day-to-day role, have you got a favourite kind of thing that you use AI for that you're able to share with us? Or
Good question. I'd say my most basic use of AI is actually just through my standardisation of emails.
Right.
But I utilise it for a lot of smaller items when it comes to data manoeuvring. Not GDPR issues at least. But I'd probably say the emails are my most vital use. I use it on a daily basis. And actually, kind of outside the work practice, one of my best uses for AI is it gets to a Friday, I'm shopping on Saturday, I'm out of food. And so I often use the ChatGPT to write down what's in my fridge and then tell me what recipes can I make based on what's in my fridge. So it's a great way to actually cost save.
What you did, just take a picture of the fridge and chuck it in AI?
You can take a picture, or you can just quickly write a list of the key things you have in your house and go,
Clever.
give me some meals. I don't have X, X and X.
Right.
And it will then draft 3 to 5 recipes. So I probably utilise that the most, especially near the end of the week.
The way I see it, and I need to get a bit better at this myself, but I think it's a way of thinking, isn't it? Like what can I say here to get the best out of the AI to help me?
Yeah, I agree. I think currently AI is improving rapidly, but you do need to kind of nurture it to get the right answers. So there's about understanding how you word things to get the answer. Yeah. And I think that's probably another talking point.
So Alistair, how's the first morning of papers been for you at the ILP?
Well, it's been very interesting, there's lots of good, interesting topics, and particularly liked the AI chat just now.
Yeah, Connor did well on that one, I think, didn't he? All Connor's hard work, to be fair.
It was quite an interesting move where you disappeared into an AI.
Was it believable?
Yes, yeah.
Good, because I felt a bit like cliche when I was like, oh, my mum's calling me. But what I wanted to bring you on and talk to you about is, how has your career in lighting been, and how long has it spanned for? As we're you're obviously transitioning through the business, and you were
indeed, yeah.
our leader, shall we say, and you're still there championing him from the front. But
I moved into lighting by accident, really, as many of us do. So I was a mechanical engineer working in the aerospace industry, and got an offer from various companies, but the lighting one to move to Urbis in Basingstoke was the one that appealed to me. They had a sort of attitude that DFL has now, a real get up and go attitude. Wanting to change the world and coming up with lots of innovative ideas and fresh thinking, and that was really what attracted me. And in those days, it was a good career. Stayed there for 17 years, became the engineering director, and then decided it was time to branch out on my own and sort of build up Designs for Lighting, which at the time was a very small company, and has grown into the wonderful company we see today, with some wonderful new leaders.
Well, I'd like to think Andy and I will keep it in the safe hands and nurture all the foundations of what you've built for it.
But these things don't happen by accident, do they? And there's a lot of thinking in succession planning in any business, and I think it's worked really well with DFL.
And I always have a chuckle to myself when I think about that, because at the time when we started coming on board and you were introducing us into the inner sanctum, if you like, of the business, you obviously had the plan in your head where you could see it was happening. And I think I was blissfully naive or unaware of it, and then I started to understand. And now Andy and I are there, and we're obviously looking at the next generation and how we create opportunity to keep people in the industry. And
I don't think businesses spend enough time on that aspect, but succession planning is so important. And I don't think I realised how important it was until I started getting to an age where I'm thinking, oh, it's time to back away a bit. But it's worked really. Well, I think becoming the ILP president was, or the first ILP president even.
Correct, because it changed from the ILE to the ILP, so you became the first ILP president. Yeah,
and that was a real standout moment for me and for DFL. I think it really started putting us on the map, and we've gone leaps and bounds ever since, with you becoming HEA president, and we've now a well-known sort of name in the industry, headline sponsors of Lighting Live.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's been very good, and I was so proud at the time I became president.
You should be. I think there's a lot to be said for doing those sector roles that are voluntary roles ultimately, aren't they? But they are, not only do they support the industry, they support a lot of personal growth, I think, and help you understand and get a better appreciation of how industry is shaped, really.
Yeah, and I think I've done that because I've always sort of wanted to encourage sort of young people to develop their careers, and so I was the sort of membership secretary at the ILE, as it was then, for a number of years. I was also on the technical committee because I was really interested in all the technical aspects. And so it was a natural step to then progress to the president, but also since then still get involved in sort of mentoring in an unofficial capacity, but also interviewing new applicants for membership.
Good stuff. So 2 questions before we wrap up.
Yep.
What's the best party you've ever been to in the industry?
Well, it's your wedding party.
Yeah, is that in industry though? Can we talk about that on the pod? I'm not sure. That was quite a party, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And was it my wedding party or was it my birthday? You tell me. I'd like to say it was my birthday, but we did get married that day.
Yes,
And then, the final question is, what's the score going to be tonight for England?
Whoa, good question. You're asking us, Scott, what the England score is going to be. Well, I'm very happy that Scotland are top of their group at the moment.
Great result for them.
I also, unlike most Scots, I do really want England to do well as well. So I'm going to say 2-1 England.
You're the second person to say 2-1 today, so that'll be interesting. Let's see if that happens.
It's not going to be an easy match.
Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for everything you've done with DFL. Afternoon, Scott. How are we? Delighted to introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Scott Pengelly. I work for Urbis Trade Air. I look after a little sales patch there and that, but I've been in lighting for a hell of a long time, Rich, as you know.
Well,
being
we go back a long way, don't we?
Previous colleague and boss and whatever else that we've been in all those times.
Shall we talk about our origins in lighting?
We can do if you want. It's going back a long time, and there are a lot of horror stories along the way. But
I'll ask some similar questions I asked Alistair earlier.
Okay.
The first one is, how did you get into lighting?
So, yeah, great question, because it's quite, well, is it a funny story? I don't know. I like my story. I had a job, I worked at a supermarket, and I was really fed up of the day-to-day work, and I went into a recruitment consultant in Chelmsford in Essex, and I said, I want a new job, and I don't care what it is. Long story short, got an interview, and I joined Atkins at the time as a trainee technician in the street lighting team, and I had no idea what that job entailed whatsoever. And then from there, I just worked my way up the ranks, got some qualifications, got some experience, worked on some decent projects. And then from there, bounced around a few other companies, but really kind of building up that experience and knowledge as I've gone. So, yeah, bit of a journey.
With the Atkins days, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask you, what is the greatest project you ever worked on?
So I've got two that I really enjoyed.
Oh, okay.
I've got like a cool, enjoyable one, and then perhaps a bit more of a boring one, but I learned a lot from as well, you know, personally.
Yeah.
So I worked on a widening of the M1 motorway from the M25 up to Luton. It was about 10 miles of motorway that they widened, and I learned a huge amount about proper engineering, electrical, lighting, all of that side of things, and that was a big win for me as well. But probably the project I think you're raising me to is I got to work on the Olympic Park. The London 2012 Olympic Park was split into two halves, and at the time Atkins looked after all the highway stuff for the north part of the park, so I got to work on that. I got to travel the Olympic site before anything was built in a little Land Rover, because we had to do a site visit for CDM regs. We had to say, we'd been there, so I just drove over all the mud and, just all being excavated in a Land Rover, so that was a hell of an experience as well.
It was the Olympics one. Because I remember when I joined Atkins and you were knee deep in that, and I was like, oh my word, he's got the greatest project in the world.
And do you know what? When I started working on that as well, I was really, if I'm honest, well out of my depth. Yeah. And all of a sudden, a bit like probably the M74 project for you, it took you from boy to man, in terms of that experience of having to bring you along as an engineer. The Olympics was really one for me as well.
That's it.
And
then one thing I wanted to touch on is obviously Rebecca was with us at Atkins.
Yeah. Who?
Rebecca.
We always get linked up so much. She must be so sick of having to talk about
Tell us about the YLP, because that's where it was born, at Atkins, wasn't it?
Was.
Again, I was new to it all, and I had someone say, "Have you heard about the YLP, Scott?" Rebecca's. How did that come about?
So it did come about from when we worked at Atkins, but what it really came about from was we went to one of our first or second ever ILP events up in London, and this is going back 20 plus years now, and it was a different environment that you get from ILP events nowadays. We went into the room and it just felt we felt very out of depth and very like we didn't fit in there, even though everyone actually is wonderfully good, but we felt a little bit out of depth. And we came out of that and basically just had some conversations in the office and said, there needs to be something here that really appeals to younger lighting professionals, to try and get them involved, on board, at events and things like that. And you're right, from those little two desks in the Chelmsford office came the idea of the YLP. And we were really supported by them. We came up with some ideas, and they said, look, come together, put a plan together of what you think the YLP could be, just some ideas, just jot them down. And we wrote, we ended up writing a business case for the YLP that was just unanimously approved, and that was, I don't know how many years ago now.
I was just going to say, how long ago was that?
No, it's before then. Crikey. Possibly, yeah. And it all went live actually in both of our friend Alistair's year as president.
There you go.
When that's when the ILE changed to the ILP, and at the same time the YLP was launched as well. So it's quite a big. Yeah.
Two last quick fire questions.
Sure.
First one, what's the best industry party you've ever been to?
Crikey. Okay, I'm going to go right back to an initial one. Yeah. So the Bournemouth conference that we had when the YLP was first inaugurated, we had a beach party there. And those pictures that were famous of where we've got all, and that was brilliant because we had a real good vibe there, and it really lightened the mood of the conference, which hadn't really happened. It was always quite a formal affair, and we had a beach party, and it was brilliant. And people came along, they got involved, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
Big question. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's the score going to be tonight?
I worry that we're not going to do any well. I think we might win 1-0.
Yeah, 1-0 case. We've not had that yet.
I think we might win 1-0.
Dare I say, are you even bothered after this season?
Yeah, well, as an Arsenal fan, well, yeah, I'd like to have done one little bit better and got the Champions League, but no, it was a good season. Yeah, it was a good season, and we are pleased. But yeah, it was
stuff.
Wonderful.
Scott,
cheers,
a good
Rich.
friend.
Take
Enjoy.
care,
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Built by People podcast. We're just grabbing people sort of as we see them here at the event, Lighting Live. I thought it would be a good opportunity to have a little bit of a chat about Pathways into Lighting, which is the programme that you're sort of pioneering, sort of following on your year as president, year before last.
Yeah.
So how's it all going?
It's been brilliant. So I think part of, and you'd heard today with Michaela's presidential address about collaboration being one of the big keys and big movements for us as an institution. I think with Strategy 2026 coming to a close for the ILP, now we're really looking at what those pillars really mean going forward as part of the strategy, and Pathways into Lighting being a key element of that.
Yeah.
I'm talking tomorrow, I've got an hour slot tomorrow talking about updates of what we've been doing. There's numerous elements of that we've been looking at, Brian. So you think around the careers and qualifications side, what's out there, what qualifications are especially young people looking at the moment, and how that can interact with the lighting industry.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's really mapped that out.
No.
So that's been interesting. So there's elements of that we're trying to work on and get into colleges, talk about lighting and have that employer engagement.
Yeah.
So especially the partnerships that we've got with Baker Deering Trust, for an example, going into UTCs, those university technical colleges, and actually having that interaction with tutors and giving them content and resources to deliver lighting-based challenges or ultimately ingrain ourselves into their syllabus.
Yeah.
That's been a key element. So we've really had a buy-in from those nationally as a Baker Deering Trust, and then really push on that going forward to try and ingrain those everywhere. So I think I'll be pulling on resource from the industry, hopefully, getting those volunteers in, getting those employers that can go in and engage and volunteer.
And what's the response been like when you go in and talk about lighting to both the tutors and the students? Is it a kind of eye-opening moment for them where they go, oh, wow, that's really cool? Or do they go, oh, yeah, it's a bit whatever?
It's definitely a mixture. Yeah. We have had a few... So I always try, and you call it the sexy element of what we do, right? So I always introduce the architectural side.
Yeah.
I've got some slides about projection mapping onto buildings.
Yeah.
We're talking about big infrastructure. So trying to make the fun elements of it, and then actually going down to the granular detail of what a lamp column is.
Yeah.
It's not just necessarily the lighting aspect. We've got EV chargers, we've got attachments, and how those interact with the students' lives.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the eye-opening piece for them, where it's brilliant. We have sports lighting, we have companies here that sponsor F1, and it's brilliant. You have those aspects of lighting, but actually a few tasks that we've been doing with the project like with the colleges is redesigning a lamp column. Yeah. And it's as simple as that maybe on the initial outset you don't get that real engagement and excitement, but on my second visit, once they've made the prototypes, right, and they've got fold-down columns, they've got telescopic columns they've made, and they've been out, they've been on their street, they've looked in their local area, and you've had that feedback, and it's brilliant.
Well, that is great, because like I say, that there's more elements to lighting than just physical lighting. It is that engineering side of it, and I was particularly interested in the keynote this morning. There was a mention of a collaboration with the University of South Wales.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, so only because it's sort of close to my heart, because I studied at the University of South Wales, so I did lighting design and technology in Pontypridd.
Yeah, brilliant.
So I'm keen to kind of see where that goes and how that kind of takes off, because I went into that with the kind of aspiration to get into theatre and concert lighting. But it was in my second year that I discovered the environmental side, and then the sort of street lighting avenue and the work that I'm involved in now with what I do. So, yeah, I'm keen to see where that goes with USW.
We're like the forgotten cousin, aren't we, on the exterior lighting side, on the street lighting side anyway. Yeah. So we've got, and I'll talk about it tomorrow, so we've had a partnership with the Engineering Education Scheme for Wales, EESW. They are a STEM-related educator, if you like, or association that are delivering STEM projects for local schools in South Wales.
Yeah.
So Jeremy Morgan used to be one of the lighting engineers for South Wales.
Yeah.
And he's arriving tomorrow, so hopefully he'll do a very brief update of what the ESW are all about and what we've been rolling out with them. Yeah. Back in October, we rolled out a project Lightville, and that was exactly the same sort of task that we had with the UTCs, and that was looking at how to redesign a street and how to make it, how to design that street with columns that ultimately you can't maintain with a vehicle. So it's up to them how they come up with that. And there's no wrong solutions, right? They can come up with a hinge column, they can come up with telescopic, they can have flying lanterns if they want. So it's really about them designing it. The key bit about the South Wales project is they have to do, ultimately it ends up becoming a 40-page document. So they need to talk about health and safety, maintenance, all the stuff that we would do as engineers. Yeah. But they deliver that. So then we had in April 22nd, we had an award ceremony at the back of that. And then it was brilliant because the school that we engaged with, Bishop Vaughan, which are coming to the event tomorrow, so all the way from Wales, we got a few students. They won best written report of the whole of the competition. So it was brilliant. They thought about all of the engineering considerations we would have as engineers. They come up with working models. One student had 3D printed a telescopic column, put a motor on it, and it was brilliant. So I think having that sort of competence at the age of 16, an aspiration for engineering is brilliant, and that's what we want.
I think it is, and it's inspiring those young minds at an early enough age where it might just click a switch in a few of those students' heads would go, this is something that I would actually like to do, and that's what we want, isn't it? So, well done with everything that you're doing on that. It's absolutely fantastic. Cool. One final thing before I let you go. What's your prediction for tonight? To Croatia, is it tonight?
Do we ever know? Being a Tottenham fan as well, Ryan, I've got nothing but disappointment in football. Who knows? Let's hope we get a few goals in. Start of the World Cup for us. So
fingers crossed.
I'm gonna, I think there's got to be a few England goals, right?
I'd like to think so.
I'll keep it close to my chest.
Oh no, completely. We won't get too excited.
Exactly.
No.
Cool.
Thanks
Thank you very
Perry.
much.
Yeah,
cheers.
Great. Well done.